This is the NECA Toys Aliens USCM Arsenal Accessory Set. Celebrate the 30th anniversary of Aliens with this Arsenal accessory set. Enhance your dioramas and displays with this awesome collection. It features flamethrowers and flames, pulse rifle and muzzle flash, shotgun, pistol, dagger, ammo bag, helmet, lantern, and the UA571-C remote automated sentry systems. There's not really a lot that I could measure here. I suppose what I'll do is I'll measure the UA571-C gun turrets. Those roughly stand at about 5.5 inches in height. This set is really good if you want to stock existing figures with some much needed ammunition. I guess the real draw, though, is the gun turrets. We'll talk about those in a second, but the rest of the set pretty much consists of a lot of throw-ins that we've seen with other figure releases. Say, for example, the torch has also been carried over from other existing figures. I just so happen to have one from the recently looked at Rico Frost's torch. You can see that it's pretty much identical, although I have to admit the shade of green is slightly lighter on the one that comes included with the accessory set versus the one that came included with that figure. This one also does have the benefit of adding the additional flame attachment, which is, as you can see, there's a little slot on the end in which the fire would come out, and there's the little groove. It also has a little hole on the top, so it specifically has to go to the top of the torch. And it just plugs into place here. It doesn't plug in the greatest, mind you. You really have to put a lot of pressure into getting it to fit in. There we go. And you've got that. Pretty cool. Or really hot, I should say. I'm moving my hand behind it just to indicate that it's slightly translucent. It seems a little bit more translucent on the end in the yellow than it is in the orange. But again, it gives you some nice added ways to display the figures. Also included, which makes a reappearance, is the M41A pulse rifle, a go-to firearm for all the Marines. And again, there's not really much that's different between this and the M41A pulse rifles that have come with other figures. Now, I don't happen to have one here readily available, but the green here, I believe, also is a lighter shade. It's actually the same shade as the torch, but I do think it would be slightly darker. Say, for example, comparing it to the torch that came standalone with Rico, I think that the pulse rifles would be a slightly darker shade of green as well. These ones get a little bit lighter. A lot of detail, though, on both pieces, really. To take nothing away for the fact that they are reused re-releases, essentially. You get a lot of the additional black that's still been added there. A little bit of wear away areas, little scratched away areas on the pulse rifle and the torch. So again, nice little added bonuses. Now this one also does come with a firing or a blast effect. You'll see that there's a peg there, a hole on the top, a hole down at the bottom, and a peg on the top. Simply just line those up accordingly. Again, they don't fit in very well, I have to admit. I ultimately find as well that when I'm pegging this into place, just the way that it's lining itself up, seems like it wants to sit on an angle. I have to admit, it doesn't look all that great. It ultimately looks like an ice cream cone sitting on the end of the rifle here. Here we go. That one's a little bit better. I get what they were trying to go with, but ultimately I don't think it looks all that successful. I'm not really sure what I would have done differently to it. I don't know if I would have rounded it off as much as this is. I may have maybe just made it a little bit more of a point. I don't really know. But again, it's some added things that you can add to not only these weapons, but the weapons that come included with the figures that you've picked up in the past. By the way, as well, the strap is a soft kind of plastic. Okay, so we'll put those two aside. Some other reappearances here. We have Hicks's shotgun, taped off on the end there in the handle portion. A little bit of brown that's been added. Otherwise, it's just a straight casting in black plastic. Looks good though, and again, you can add that to existing figures if you have them. I'm going to bring in, for example, Frost. I just so happen to recently have a look at him. I'm going to put him here just actually for scale comparison too, because we'll reference that in a second as well. Comes included with a pistol, and the reasoning why I also brought Frost into this is that the pistol is a reuse from the one that we got with Rico here. Actually, everything about it is identical, right down to the silver on the actual sight on the very end there. You also get yourself a knife. That's some nice, almost a bit of a silver that's been added to the blade, gives it a nice sheen. You also get a helmet, which I'll bring in Frost's helmet. It's identical to one another, even right down to the covering, the neck covering on the back there. Camera's also in place, so you can use this again if you have another, I don't know, if you have another Marine kicking around that you don't have a helmet for, you can make use of that. And the other reasoning why I brought Frost in is they also give you a pack. Now, I wanted to bring his pack into place, other than just for the fact that this is slightly warped. It is what looks to be the same pack, although it does look like the strap isn't as long. Let me just bring that up there. Yeah, I think that the strap may be a little shorter of all things on the one that came with this set versus the one that came included with him. This one would have been holding the ammunition. We know how successful that happened, or that worked in the film. And this one you could easily just use for, you know, medical supplies, or just, you could really pretend it's anything really. So those are like your standalone accessories. I haven't seen this appear many times. In fact, maybe one or two. I don't think it's a brand new release for this particular set. You've got yourself the little stick light. And it does have a little like halogen light inside. It doesn't really light up, granted, but it does give it that sense that you could pretend there's the output there of the light as well. I mean, obviously it does a pretty good job of looking like it's lit up, even if it really isn't. Then you get to some rather exclusive items. I was trying to think in the back of my mind if I've seen these before, and so far I draw an absolute blank. But we've got ourselves some little laptop keyboards. These open up. You got a little keypad down below and a full read display on here. Now this also play into the gun turrets. As you can see, it shows you the ammunition count. And in the movie, the ammunition count, you would remember seeing that continue to drop. We open up this one, it's got a different display altogether. So I like that there are differences between one to the other. And again, this just kind of opens and closes. So I really like these. I want to make use of those somehow, some way, in some sort of display. Let's have a look at the gun turrets here, and a rather interesting story. I find it interesting, you guys probably won't find it interesting at all, is I remember first watching Aliens on TV, and it just so happened that they used the uncut version of Aliens on TV that featured the gun turrets. Well, ever since then, up to recently, every single time I've seen Aliens, I've never seen the gun turret scene. I always thought to myself, I'm certain there's a gun turret scene in which these gun turrets have been placed in front of a welded door, and they're shooting all the xenomorphs that are coming towards it. And there's a little ammo count that goes down on screen. I'm certain that existed. Well, sure enough, when they released the uncut version of Aliens, then we got to see this scene. We also got to see a precursor of Newt and Newt's family, and a couple of other additional scenes that were cut out from the theatrical release. So it's rather interesting that on TV they would show this scene, and then ultimately all the DVD releases up to the point of releasing the uncut version wouldn't have this at all. I just find that a little small fun story. As for the gun turrets themselves, they do have a little bit of posability. This section right here does hinge, but you can see that the hinge is happening right there, but I am so apprehensive about bending this too much. It does hinge back and forth, but I just ultimately feel like I would leave it because the plastic seems very fragile, especially where that pin sits. I definitely don't want that breaking. Other than that, it doesn't seem like it has a whole lot of posability. It's unfortunate, though, that for the turrets being able to basically scope out targets and shoot at it, that ultimately it just doesn't have any posability happening here. At the very least, I'd like if the turrets could actually have rotated. And some really nice scratched away. I always really like when companies such as NECA put wear on pieces. It gives us that sense of age, it gives us that sense of use. You definitely don't want every single thing to look pristine like they've literally just used it for the very first time. Here it's got it says double delta M base laser diode setting. And it has some details on the top there. Yeah, HE. And on the top there, MK88GP. You may see also this attached to it. I don't know if this is just the activation of the trigger point, or if this may very well be the ammunition depot for it. These I thought swung out just by the nature that they're hinged, but they aren't. And I have to stress this: don't pull these out. I don't think that they're even intended to move out. In fact, even on the back of the packaging, it doesn't look at all like you can move these out. So just leave them be. They are attached via a flexible, yet I would say rather fragile sort of cording, so you don't want to pull those away too far from it. And on the details here, you've got weapon module A6780 UMEH-AMI-022. And then it's pack ref number 1F1. There's the other side right there. And if we look at the other gun turret, it's essentially the same. There's really not that much different between the two. In fact, if I put them side by side, they have the same detailing on the side, although the scratching will be... Actually, the scratching on it is pretty identical to one another. We flip it around. There's what the other side looks like. And they do look, again, very identical. They've got the same markings on the top there as well. And there's the back of them. So when you have them on display, again, you could have your, just for scale comparison, that's what Frost looks like by scale to the gun turrets. And then these, the automated sentry systems, they're about, I'd say, 3/4 of the height of a standard figure. Also for some scale comparisons, here is the gun turret next to Vasquez, another figure that we just recently had a look at, so you can see how big the gun turrets are versus a smaller figure such as Vasquez. Again, these have some nice added bonuses of giving you, essentially a lot of these we've gotten packed before with other figures that we've released or we've gotten from NECA Toys. But ultimately it does make nice for add-on features. Some of the weapons, for example, if you've got other Marines, you can pack them with these specific weapons. And then you've got some added bonuses of, say, for example, the computer consoles, which I may even very well use on displays not relative at all to the aliens. So you do get a fair bit happening here in the USCM Arsenal accessory set. I love the fact that we continue to get accessory sets from the folks over at NECA Toys, a good way to enhance existing figures that we already have in our collection. Specifically, these I like the most because with the USCM Arsenal accessory set, it's the only way that you can get yourself the automated sentry system used in the uncut version of the Aliens film. Up to this point, we have never received these sentry turrets, so it's nice to have those finally be available as something we could display with the figures. By the way, in final looks though, if you're looking at the turrets and you're looking at the nozzles and at the end of the turrets and think that those look almost identical to the very end of the smart gun that came with Vasquez, I thought that as well. So I tried to use the burst effect that came included with the smart gun and attach it to the end nozzle that came with the sentry turrets here, and unfortunately they don't fit. Even though there is that little cross cut on the end of them, you simply just don't have something that could have gone on the end, which is I think the only thing this particular accessory set is missing out on. It gives you all the weapons, and it gives you little burst effects that you can add to those weapons, but I really hoped, or had hoped, that the turrets themselves could have had something be added to the end of them. After all, the whole point of them being in the movie is they're supposed to be protecting the Marines by shooting away the xenomorphs that are coming in proximity. They should have really come with starburst effects, but at the very least, sadly, they don't. Either way, though, this is a great set to pick up. Doesn't contain any figures, granted, but it accents and enhances the existing figures that you already have on your collection. Today we were having a look at the NECA Toys Aliens USCM Arsenal Accessory Set, which should now be available in comic book stores should you wish to pick this up for yourself. If you are interested in seeing more from this channel and haven't had a chance to hit that little subscribe button down below, what are you waiting for? There's lots more videos coming soon, so make sure you hit that little subscribe button. Also, head over to the main channel after you're finished this video and scroll down the section that says videos. See if there's anything that you may have missed up to this point, and feel free to check out those videos as well. As always, guys, thanks for watching as you always do. I'll see you next time.